I'm very happy to welcome today Tessa WERNIK, which is Chief Communication Officer and co-founder of Fairphone. Fairphone is a unique proposal for the smartphone industry that integrates environmental and social values. Tessa, can you tell us more about it?
Hi, well, thank you for inviting me to the program. Yes, where to begin? I think it's good to say that Fairphone really started as a campaign around the use of conflict minerals in electronics and has grown into a full-fledged tech company at the moment, really looking how we can use the phone to start addressing issues in the electronic supply chain. So we use the phone to look at issues from mining, some materials traceability, to manufacturing, to how we can use the design to start creating different supply chains, different processes, and all the way to the end of life and recycling components. And we've now officially launched our Fairphone 2, which I can tell you more about.
Sure, with pleasure, we'd love to.
Okay, well, it's going to be hard to you hold the microphone and actually show you more. So I might actually have to just put down the microphone and tell you a little bit. But it's good to say this phone is our own design. And the reasons why we designed it ourselves is because we feel that we need to own the supply chain to start making greater impact. So that means that by making our own design, we can choose which suppliers we work with, have better relationships, and really look at what kind of materials we put inside the phone. And on the other hand, we've looked at how we can put our values inside the phone to start empowering users so that they can be part of the solution. So we designed the phone with 3 things in mind. How do you make a phone last as long as possible? So how do you make it durable and repairable? The other thing is, how do you make it give people the ownership so that they can do things themselves? And the third thing is to really connect people to how it's made and who makes it. So I will put down the microphone and show you a little bit.
Let's discover that.
Yeah. So here you see, this is a case that is integrated in the phone. Many times you buy a phone and it's beautiful, but you end up doing the first thing is protecting it. So what we've decided is we make it more durable by putting a case on the phone. The second thing is we've looked at the design itself. So we made a dual SIM phone with extra memory so people can use it for at home and at work without having to have 2 devices.
Great.
We've made the battery replaceable, and that sounds a little bit like it's an easy win, but you see phones are getting more and more closed. And if you want to make a phone last for 3 to 5 years, then you need to be able to replace the battery. So if you replace the battery, you have another part. And then the next thing we did is, what is the thing that breaks most on mobile phones? Do you have an idea?
No,
Well,
I don't.
We benchmarked it, but it's usually the screen.
Yes, so, that's true.
Yeah, so the screen is something that is very fragile. We've made it as hard as possible, but if you break it, and you can drop our phone from about 183 meters, like an average Dutch size for a man, but it does break, then you can change it yourself.
So every mother should buy a Fairphone for their teenagers.
Maybe.
Oh, and it's not that difficult.
No, so it's good to create a new relationship with the products you own, and I think technology has become something that we feel is very far away from us. We cannot access it. You cannot open your phones, and you don't understand anything about it. So to actually make it possible for people to open it themselves is the first step to understanding a little bit more about how your products are made and what goes into them. So just to finish it off here is that you see some components in the phone. So the things that you might break because it has a connection to the outside world, or it breaks, you can actually unscrew it, I won't do it now, and take it out and replace it. And the idea with this phone is we've made it to last for 3 to 5 years. Everything that we can do. It obviously depends on how people use it and whether they're careful with it. But you can make it last for as long as possible. And that's why we're here today at the UN Climate Change Conference, because we feel like if you also look at keeping products for longer. It means that you reduce the amount of CO2 footprint, so you really reduce the production on that side. But you also look at how you can recycle and close the loop and use the materials you have again, and to make it a circular economy.
This is very inspiring.
Thank you.
In these highly competitive sectors, how are you perceived by the other players? Is it pure competition or inspiration?
Well, we like to see it as inspiration. For us, it's really the goals that we have, I think, extend beyond a commercial or an economic relationship. I think if we look at the business models that we have now, they're based on finite resources. So replacing every 2 years is a model that cannot last. But we also know that this is a phone. It represents our economic system in many ways, because it is not one commodity that is like a banana or a coffee bean that goes from the source to your coffee machine. It's thousands of supply chains. So it really requires the whole industry to change if we want to change. So we hope that by showing some interesting innovations that we can start maybe leapfrogging toward a brighter future in that sense, but we can only do it if we change with the whole industry.
Okay. Personally, I'm the founder of Belong Forum, and we showcase sustainable innovations in China.
Fantastic.
So
yeah.
we are very happy. We have welcomed Fairphone for this 2015 edition, and we will always very pleased to welcome you for the others edition in Shanghai and Shenzhen next year. And that brings us to China. I know that you have grown up part of your life in Hong Kong, so you probably know the Asian market. How, when you started to produce in China, was it a deliberate choice? How did you choose Chinese market?
Yes, well, yeah, I did indeed. I grew up in Hong Kong. I also worked in Shanghai and in Japan for several years. So I have a close connection with a lot of people there. People ask us often why we didn't produce in Europe, for example. And I think one thing that Fairphone is trying to do is to actually go to the places where the current industry is and to see how we can create change or positive impact locally. And I
Very
think,
interesting.
yeah, that the electronic supply chain has moved toward the east to Asia many years ago. So even if we moved the final assembly to Europe, one, there is no guarantee that it has all the benefits or working conditions are correct, but it also still means that you are very much connected to everything that happens in Asia with component manufacturers, etc. So we feel that the connection to these places is very important.
Sure. And is China a market for you, for Fairphone?
We hope so in the future. We've had quite a lot of interest, and I've spoken to friends that I have in China, and I noticed that when I talk about what I do, there is a real understanding of what we're trying to achieve, and that I think after quite a few years of relative wealth, there's also an understanding that people don't want things that break all the time. You know, they also want quality products. So I think that there's a lot of people who would really like the idea. Also values.
Yeah, I can testimony that when we present Fairphone during our Belong Forum, all the Chinese audience was very amazed, very impressive, and they were really wanted to know more about it. So I hope that you will be soon in China to propose this amazing Fairphone.
Thank you. Me too.
As a social enterprise, new model, but still an enterprise, how do you plan your development for the coming years?
It's an interesting question for which I think in technology it's always hard to predict more than 5 years, 3 to 5 years in the future, because it changes so fast. But at the moment, I think we've developed a model in which we can start creating more influence, more impact in the supply chain. We want to grow as a company because we feel we need to, on the one hand, show that there is a market. Only in that way can we convince the industry that there is change is possible. So I think we will use the phone to keep on doing that, but the future might also look at a product portfolio that maybe meets more the needs of some of the people who want to support us.
And transparency and responsible sourcing is key in your approach. What about recycling?
Recycling. So one of the so we look at 4 areas: the sourcing of materials, the manufacturing and working conditions, the design, and the end of life. And both in the design, we look at recycling but also at the beginning of the chain, and at the end of life, we look at projects how we can start what is called urban mining. So how can we get the materials that are currently in people's drawers around the world, or maybe on e-waste dumps, to be recycled so that we can use the copper and the nickel and all these precious materials rather than that we mine them again. So we use a lot of recycled plastics. For example, in the production of the phone, we use a lot of recycled materials. We have made it so that it's not hard to recycle. So people, if it comes to recycling, they can recycle our phone. We hope it will take a while before they recycle this phone. And in the meantime, we collect e-waste from Ghana, where we recycle it in Europe and try to put those materials back into the supply chain.
And consumers, they can get all those information on your website, right?
Yes, yes.
And just to go back to COP21, here we are in France, and Paris is welcoming this great event. How is the French market for Fairphone? And that will be my last question.
Okay. Well, we only sell in Europe at the moment, and we only communicate in English, so it also that limits sometimes the reach or the accessibility for people. Our web shop is in 4 languages, but you can see that France is number 3 in terms of the markets for Fairphone. It's Germany, Switzerland, France, the Netherlands, the UK are all in the top 5. We think that there's a lot of interest, and today we're also launching in France. We have an event today where we're with a reseller in Centre Commercial, and we would like to see how we can grow together with partners here, not only in sales, but also just in setting up innovation projects.
When I met your team in Beijing last September, I was very impressed that when I discussed with them, I said, I'd love to buy a Fairphone, but I have my own smartphone. And they told me, no, don't buy it. You have to wait until that your smartphone doesn't work anymore. I was so impressed by this answer. I think you're really, in this way, you're very inspiring. And I really want to thank a brand like you to be here and to really try to change the way we consume. And so I think this is a great manner to now propose a new consumption products.
Yeah.
So you can really rely on the Belong team to promote Fairphone, because we really love what you are doing.
Thanks.
And thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
It's true. It's not a marketing exercise you get at school, I think, but we do think that the most ethical phone is the one you have. But I'd like to say thanks to you, and also a lot of people who have supported us. Fairphone has started this movement, and I think my thank you is to you as well.
Thank you, Tessa.
Thank you.